Hey guys, and welcome to a guide on Death's Abyss. This is quite a fun co-op dungeon, although a little bit more tougher than I think a lot of people realize. So first thing first, I think that this dungeon is a little bit more tougher and you definitely can't run this with just 6 DPS. I'd say the Holy Trinity is pretty much the way to go. Maybe you can get away with a tank who's got like sword and wand and 5 DPS, but it is fairly tough. For trash pulls, there's not too much other than this guy over here, the Arbiter. This guy has an attack where he'll basically say, I'll wipe you all, and he'll charge up an almost one-shot an attack. That's why in this dungeon, you have to pretty much bring CC. You should have one CC ability up until the final boss, and then from the final boss you can run however you want. You should only have to kill 2 to 5 of these arbiters, depending on your group's skill and how you play the game. Now this room over here has a difficult one, because you've got 2 arbiters. They do patrol. They'll initially do that jump in slam that you can see is blockable, and then afterwards they'll say, I'll wipe you off. Here we got very unlucky and we desynced the 2. So that meant that this one hit I'll wipe you all after. Now I'd used my CC skill, so here I decided to hide. And you can see there, killed the other 3 DPS instantly. So the healer and the tank managed to survive. And pretty much I just played around and helped them kill it. Now when it comes to the trash pull, the only thing that of note is also you have wizards and healers. Focus the healer first because he'll just heal the wizard. I see a lot of groups kind of just, get the first one, which is the wizard, and then just sit there for ages just DPSing him while the healer heals him. Bit silly. Here you kind of just want to hug the sides. That way you only have to kill the soldier. Now a lot of groups will have random people standing in the center like you can see here, so they might pull the arbiter. Up there they pull the arbiter. Good job. And that just kind of makes a lot more trash pull and just kind of makes the dungeon longer than it needs to be. As I said, you need to only kill 2 to 5 arbiters. So if you kind of just hug the corners and things, and even here in this room, if you just go across while he's patrolling, you can not have to kill this one. But here, for safety's sake, I just decide to pull it. Now the reason also that you'll want to have CC in this dungeon, not just as like the tank, is because both the bosses require CC. The first boss will drop these purple circles. They do a moderate amount of damage and root you, which is kind of annoying. So best just to kind of be out of them. She has 2 other attacks. She has a mid-range stun attack, which is blockable, and you can CC her to basically avoid that attack. And then she has a one-shot in attack. Here she does the mid-range attack, you step out of it, and now she'll hit her main attack. She'll basically say, I'll end your life. She'll float 3 people, and if you don't CC her, those 3 people will die. If you have really good DPS, you can kill her before she even gets those all. Now again, the reason why you want to have CC in this fight is because what happens if the tank is the one floated? Then you can't CC her and the tank just dies. So even though 3 people will be on the floor and maybe one of those 3 people will have CC, it's better just to have CC yourself and make sure. Because I never trust groups, even with the Arbiter. And a lot of groups will also say to you, oh, don't use Tornado because you're floating the target, so it's a decrease of melee DPS uptime. And I just don't care because, to be honest, the run back time is pretty hardcore. Yeah, I got very unlucky and I basically, as I killed the soldier, I also pulled the Arbiter. But luckily my Tornado actually hit him, which I was surprised by. Basically, on this part, you just go to each side and you just pull the lever. You get really skilled players that can like hop over, pull the lever, and then get back without triggering anything other than the soldier. And then on the side, obviously, that you go through on, you've got to just clear the ads around and go and clear the next boss ad room. There's an Arbiter in there. You can not kill it. You can kind of go straight to the boss without fighting the Arbiter, but it's much safer to clear this room. A lot of groups like to clear absolutely everything inside this boss room. Now, a lot of times also in a lot of groups, they'll end up pulling absolutely everything on top of this boss, which is kind of scary to me because this boss isn't really a joke. He's got a pretty hardcore, I wouldn't say one-shotting mechanic, but pretty much a one-shotter. So you'll start off with some big DPS here. He'll slam around and try and pretty much settle aggro on the tank. If tanks can face this guy away from the group, that's always great. And over here, the tank doesn't. So unfortunately, we get absolutely smashed by frontals. And all of these can kind of make it a bit tougher to kill this boss. Now, we have pretty good DPS here, so we absolutely wreck through him. But when he says impossible, he gains barrier. And when he says die, you have several seconds to CC him. My CC fails there, which is kind of scary. But luckily, the tank was on top of it and got the CC off. Because basically, if he hits that die, he'll pretty much like one-shot you. Maybe the tank, maybe the healer will survive. But yeah, not fun times. And now the final boss has quite a lot of mechanics, so I'm going to try get through them as best I can. I might loop around and do one or two the second time he does them, because there's a lot here. Basically, you'll get a really big DPS window in the beginning. Try not to use abilities that root yourself. My longbow 5 is one of those, and I do use it, quite naughty. Then you'll use his first ability, which is chase him to the ends of the abyss. 3 players will be marked by skulls, and those sights do heavy damage, so try kite away from your friends. He will do his frontal attack to the furthest player. So he'll teleport to the furthest player, hit an attack, teleport to the second furthest player on the other side, hit an attack. Try aim that away because it's big damage and it floats you. So if you've got the circle follow you and you float it up, you might have that circle underneath you when you land and it will do crazy damage. Try not to be in front of the tank when he hits his frontal attack because that is big damage. Here he hits it and you see he teleports round. Once he's done the 2 slams, he will give a stack up circle. Now here he does the stack up circle. You need to get in there because it is distributed. So the more people in there, the more likely you are to survive. And then immediately he hits a blockable attack. That's why when he does chase them to the ends of the abyss, use travel form, get away from the boss a bit, but then don't stay in travel form because you need stamina to do that block. Also, sometimes he does a second attack which is blockable afterwards. So you need to make sure you have enough stamina for 2 blocks. There you can see he did 2 blink strikes and he blinked back to the tank and did a very small range stun attack. That is blockable. So please make sure that either you walk out of it or you block it. So just be careful also who the tank is. Here you'll see he's hitting a couple of frontals and there's the one attack that you need to be very, very careful of. That's basically area wide and he does that sometimes after the stack up marker attack. Here he hits the chase into the ends of the abyss the second time. I'm marked. I try getting a bit of DPS. I'm marked there. You can see how I'm trying to run my circle around the outside of the arena. And then also you can see I try to change out of travel form to give me my stamina. You can see it's regen in there. Because here he does hit both attacks. He hits the one, hits the first blockable attack, and then straight afterwards here he does one auto attack and then hits the second blockable attack. If you do not have stamina, you can see like the person who is number 1 in the group there, he almost died because he basically got hit by the one attack. This fight is all about positioning, making sure you're not next to the tank, making sure someone's always at range, and basically directing those attacks out of the group. If you can do that, this fight's easy. Anyway, I hope this guide was good. I know it's a lot of information, very hard to do in an actual fight, but if you liked it, please like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.